Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Jules Leyhe. In today's video, I'm going to teach you some of the slide guitar techniques of one of the all-time greats, the one and only Fred McDowell. Now, this is an exciting video to make because it's kind of a departure from a lot of the slide stuff that I talk about usually on this channel. It's not totally like in outer space compared to what we do. It's just a different style of playing. So hopefully this will add to, your vocabulary, your breadth when it comes to being able to play slide guitar stuff. This is really where guys like Dwayne Allman and Derek Trucks are getting their influence from. This is a predecessor to those guys. So let's dive into this. I'm really happy to have the Mavis today. This is a great guitar for this sort of sound. The sort of resonator, the cones, and just this acoustic sort of sound that we get from the resonator is really awesome. I am plugged in, but I've got a more sort of organic, just like dry, clear tone. It's not like the amp is sizzling and I have a lot of distortion. So it's going to be really touch responsive to how I play. That's going to dictate a lot of the tone. And one of the things about Fred McDowell is this is like gut bucket blues, if there ever was gut bucket blues. This is minor pentatonic based. This is largely mimicking vocal style of playing, right? A lot of the time it's call and response with the vocals. He'll play lines that he's actually singing, or maybe there's a group of people and it's very chanting based, music. So this is like super duper early days of blues guitar, call and response based, minor pentatonic, blues scale. Harmonically, there's really not much going on. A lot of the time it's in like the open tune guitar. In this case, I'm in the key of D. Right, and there's a lot of droning strings going on. A lot of the time melodies will be played. This is a huge part of like getting a bigger sound. Instead of just playing single note lines, maybe like this. That sort of thing might happen, but it's kind of coexisting with open bass strings like this. A lot of the time, this is just about, this makes it sort of sound like there's more than one person playing. Once you start throwing in the lower strings, doing something like this. So what I'm really doing here, you can see there's already just such a huge sound coming from a pretty relatively simple little, I'm not playing crazy fast licks. This isn't about speed. This is really all about feel, your intonation. Where are you placing your third? Is it the major third? Is it the minor third? Is it kind of in between? Elements like your vibrato become super duper important when we're playing this sort of sound. So what I was just doing there, let me explain that a little bit, is I'm really focusing on this. This is kind of more major third leaning, right? And what I'm doing is I'm going like this. So that major third would be at the fourth fret of the high, what is now, it's our first string, it's tuned to D. So it would be like this. And melodically, you'll hear McDowell do this quite a bit, where he's playing the triad. major or minor. In this case, I'm kind of thinking major, but he'll play like the third up to the fifth. Okay, so I love this. This just, it's beautiful. There's not too much to wrap your head around. This is a great way to get comfortable with playing in tune, playing specific melodies on the first string alone so far, right? So I'm not thinking too much about this with my thumb. I'm just kind of going like this. I peeled off and played just a little blues lick there at the end, but nothing crazy. So the only other thing after the fifth that I'm adding, the fifth being our A at the 7th fret, is adding the 6th up 2 frets from there, which is up at the 9th fret. That just gives us another little bit of melodic content to draw from, right? Really nice, really beautiful. As far as like a major sort of bluesy tonality, it's funny calling these things major and minor because, yes, this is major sounding. There's always going to be this sort of major slash minor, you know, I just want to make sure everybody understands that they're kind of coexisting a lot of the time, right? It's not exclusively major. It's not exclusively minor. There's this tendency to kind of drift in one direction at any given point in time, just depending on, you know, in this case, McDowell's feel and what he's singing, what he's hearing melodically. So you could just as easily, instead of going like this into the major third, you could kind of lean minor and go more like this. Right? All I'm doing is I'm leaning on the 3rd fret. Or the 4th fret for the sweeter major sound. That last little phrase had sort of major at the front of it, and then when I came down here, sort of minor down there on the 4th string. Okay, so just want to make sure that that's abundantly clear. This is like weaving in and out of major and minor at your will. And if you listen to McDowell's recordings, that's definitely a huge part of his sound and playing. So hitting a nail on the head really hard right there, spelling that out really clearly for you guys. So let's see. So far, we've talked a little bit about these melodies. A lot of the time, if you're kind of new to this style, or if you're trying to get your phrasing together with slide guitar, rather than doing all these crazy, like across the strings sort of vertical playing, what I mean by that would be things like this. That requires a lot of muting and going, you know, I talk about this at length in both my Derek Trucks Masterclass and the Ultimate Slide Masterclass. If you haven't seen that video, that one's here on YouTube. But instead of doing that sort of playing across the strings where your right hand is really working to mute and leave the thing behind, you know, you're kind of cleaning up your mess the whole time. This is much more sort of open strings ringing, This is more forgiving as far as just hearing the notes you're not actually playing ringing out. So this is kind of good news as far as playing slide guitar is concerned, because, it's just, you can be, I hate to use the word sloppy. You don't have to clean up your mess as much. We can just kind of like... So I wanted to just play in that style for a sec, get lost in it a little bit. I'm improvising there, but I roughly played like a 12-bar type of blues, hitting the landmarks, like for the 5 chord. Now, here's a really cool hip McDowell thing that he does. To sort of play over the changes, there are definitely a handful of options, but he knows where his chord tones are. And it doesn't take very much of playing your chord tones, hitting the right note at the right time, to make it sound like you know what you're doing, and not just like have a couple of licks. Let me demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about. So one of the things that you can do to play over the changes is we've got the 1 chord either open, and then we've got the 1 chord at the 12th fret. So that's great. That also means that we have the 4 chord at the 5th fret. And we have the 5 chord at the 7th fret. But now here's a really sneaky cool way of playing the 5 chord somewhere else, okay? And that somewhere else is in the open position. So I just did this a minute ago when I was playing kind of free, improvising. But check this out. You can even add your 2nd string here. That would be the 5th, and relative to our 1 chord, the 2 or the 9. And those are both chord tones of the 5 chord. So instead of playing your 5 chord by just going up here, you can just keep playing in this sort of open string. Right? That's a really cool, just like working smarter and not harder type of way of playing through the chord changes, right? Something that you might want to try to do is go like this. 5 chord. Now for the 4, I'm going to slide up to the 5th fret. Back to the 1. See how that's a really interesting way of playing through the turnaround, instead of just going like... Nothing wrong with that, but you might already kind of think that way, and it's just nifty to throw some of these, it's really nice and efficient to just stay in one place and be able to play through all the changes. So that's kind of what that is all about. one other chord that I want to show you guys. So, well, actually, before I show you the 4 chord, so this is just playing the open either 5th or 2nd string, which are both our 5. So those all outline the 5 chord, but if you want to make it a 7 chord, you can physically add, you can fret 2nd fret of the 4th string. I would do this with middle finger, and then 1st fret of the 3rd string. That's a 5-7 chord right there. Now, a really easy way to make your 4 chord, just drop your middle finger down to the 5th fret, 5th string, 2nd fret. There's our 4 chord, right? But now if we wanted to make this a dominant 7 chord, I would put my ring finger at the 3rd fret of the 4th string. So, our 5 to 4 to 1 might sound like this. 5 chord to 4. All I did there is I'm doing a little chromatic walk up. Now I'm leaving these strings kind of ringing out and open. I like that sound in this case. In all my other videos, I tend to kind of mute and do a lot more sort of right hand, cleaning up what we're doing. But this is a different type of slide guitar playing. We can really do things like... So you can see there's just, I'm trying to demonstrate some of these sounds and concepts just so that you guys have a little bit of, you can go through and try to watch these clips. And I'm improvising here, but it's in the Fred McDowell vein. I am totally thinking Fred McDowell this whole time. Simple melodies. One thing that I love too is the vibrato is a very interesting element of playing here. And it's kind of different from, this isn't like Dwayne Allman or Derek Trucks vibrato. This is different. This has, it's more of like a vocal quiver. It's a faster, this is like a less polished sounding vibrato. And I love it. It's really great. But this is where expressing that type of sound through your left hand, the way you wiggle the notes. Let me just play the root here on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So this would be a D, but I'm going to try to sort of exercise this by going like... It's the vibrato is faster, and it's just kind of, it's funny. It's like an exclamation point or something on a phrase. I love not giving every single note vibrato. So check this out. I'm going to really save my vibrato for, like I just mentioned, it's like an exclamation point. If you put vibrato on everything, it just gets to be a little bit like, It gets to be a little bit monotonous. So saving it and doing things like 22, 22. So not putting vibrato on everything is a really good idea, like this. You can see it's imperfect. This isn't really quantifiable. There's no long division happening here. This is all about listening. I'd recommend you guys check out some really great versions of some really classic tunes like Amazing Grace. This is kind of like how Fred McDowell plays Amazing Grace. There's not a ton of harmony going on. It's very bluesy. It's it's basically what I've been playing, but he would go something like this. That doesn't sound too much like Amazing Grace right off the bat, but if you go listen to the recording that I'm talking about, I'm going to make sure that you guys have a link to it here in the description below. They're singing Amazing Grace, but it's very just like minor bluesy melody, Jesus on the Main Line, all these classic sort of like 1/4, 1/4/5, very simple harmony types of tunes. You'll hear there's a lot of repetition. It's all blues based, and everything that I was just talking about, all these little melodies, you just adjust them a tiny bit, and that does it for today's video on Fred McDowell's style. And I really hope that you guys appreciate this new type of guitar playing as far as my channel is concerned. Haven't gotten into this too much, but as soon as I got the Fred McDowell comment and I've been borrowing this Mavis, I thought, okay, I'm going to do that video now. This is great timing to get into that zone. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, let me know if there are specific lessons that you'd like to see me cover. I definitely really enjoy the community aspect of this channel where you guys say something, I'm reading all the comments. I'm paying attention. So if you have something that you'd like to see me cover, let me know in the comments below and I'll try to address it in a future video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I've got videos like this coming out all the time. I have masterclasses available. I have a signature Jules Leyhe Liquislide. Be sure to get those if you guys haven't already. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.